Welcome into the Eagle Communications Sports Update right here on HutchPost.com. High school, college, pro, we keep you in the know. As always, Glen Grunwald, I am Daren Dunn. Big week, we jump right into it. HCC football, huge win, snapping a 23-game losing streak against the Butler Grizzlies, winning it 35-26. Glen, how about that opening drive to start things off for the Dragons?
Outstanding. I tell you what, I don't think seeing HCC score other than maybe a kickoff return or something like that, but the fact that they didn't have the kickoff return, had to have the offensive plays. They just put in gear and got it done. Alva Kamara leading the charge with the big run, and then a couple other runs, and all of a sudden we're in the end zone. Then you turn right around, we do it again, basically a little longer established drive. We got a 13-0 lead, and hey, you kind of thought this can't be true.
Time of possession on the first drive, 5 plays, 70 yards, a minute 18. The second drive that you spoke of, just over 3.5 minutes. So in all, under 5 minutes of possessions and 13 points. And maybe where the tide turned was that extra point that was blocked.
That extra point that was blocked, you kind of got you thinking a little bit, and then the penalties. But still, a good situation. I think we're a little down at halftime because we were trailing. I know you're going to talk about that, but still a stellar performance by HCC in a long time coming. We've been knocking on that door for a long time, finally knocked it down. Big win.
HCC does go down 20-13 by halftime, but they get things back in place. Huge game from Dalton Demas. The boy throws 5 touchdowns. What did he throw for? 240 yards, and of course that 72-yard strike to Jawan Dickey.
Yeah, and that was the big one. That was kind of the backbreaker, so to speak. And then you really got excited, kind of like, hey, this maybe is going to happen. Still had a lot of possessions that Butler had, and Butler's Butler. They're a stellar ball team. There's no doubt about it. It's kind of a rarity. I can't remember how long ago they've been 2 straight losses. They're now 1-2 on the season. But HCC deserved it. They put a great team effort out forward on it, and it's going to be fun now as we go down the stretch. And Coach talked about it, just take care of business. It's going to be real fun to watch the polls because of the top 5 teams above the Blue Dragons, with the new poll just coming out, is the fact that there's 3 Mississippi teams. They all have to play each other, so somebody's going to come out. There's going to be 2 of those teams with losses. Then you also look at, we have the opportunity to do something against Iowa Western coming up October 25th. They're ranked number 2 right now in this week's poll. And then you turn around, Trinity also has to play Kilgore this weekend. That's undefeated. They play Glen. There's some tough games with the teams that are above us, so who knows? We're going to do a lot of poll watching over the next few weeks.
Butler is Butler, but HCC not making them look as such. They came into the game typically a very good running team. They come in averaging over 164 yards on the ground, held to just 73. And how about that defense, kind of led by Marquavius Lewis, 13 tackles, 5 of those solo, 5 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks.
Yeah, outstanding. He and Jeremiah Ledbetter did a great job. Wright was hurt for much of the game, and then he was able to come in late, but he had back spasms, but still good job. The area I was worried about, and I told you this before, we told this on the countdown to kickoff, was that the defensive backs, they held their own. They did a great job out there, so great defensive effort. They got the stops when they needed to. Claude George was just outstanding at linebacker.
Claude George, in fact, blocking 2 kicks. HCC defense holding the passing game to 216 yards, and how about the ground game to just 73. Now upcoming against Iowa Central, that's going to be a 1 p.m. kickoff. Iowa Central comes in 2-0 with victories over Independence and also the College of DuPage.
Yeah, and we're familiar with Iowa Central. 2 years ago, beat them 41-21 in the Salt City Bowl in 2012. So they're a good team. They're solid. You hope that the HCC doesn't drop down and get over the expectations so much of Butler, but I don't think so. I think this coaching staff has these guys pretty center. So it's going to be a big game, and like you said, kickoff at 1 o'clock at Gowan Stadium on Saturday.
First game on the road for the College of DuPage. Dominance continues for HCC volleyball. We saw them slip under 500 last week, but now back on top at 6-5, a game over 500. They are 3-0 in the Jayhawk Conference, and that includes sweeps of Butler and Dodge City. Now upcoming, they'll be at home against Seward, and then of course the Blue Dragon Classic in the sports arena. Looking over to soccer, 2 straight victories after that overtime loss to Paris, Texas. That's a 6-3 victory over Dodge City, then a 2-1 victory over Coffeyville. So they are also 3-0 in conference play. Next, they are at Allen in Iola. Hey, when we come back, I'll be with Rod Zook, cross-country coach here at HCC, on the Eagle Communications Sports Update on HutchPost.com. Welcome back into the Eagle Communications Sports Update right here on HutchPost.com. Joined now by cross-country head coach Rod Zook. Rod, take us back. What first got you into cross-country?
Well, it goes back to high school. I just had a lot of friends that kind of took me under their wing. I was a little tiny kid just kind of walking obscure through the halls of Newton High, and they kind of took me under the wing and said, hey, you need to go out. It's going to be fun. No matter what happens, you're going to get a chance to run. And that's really how I got my start running, and it just kind of took off from there. So.
Now, in your third season as cross-country coach at HCC, take us through the process of getting West Star Prairie Ridge Park set up and usable as a course here in Hutchinson.
Well, it started when I always drove by there and thought, wow, that'd be a great place to hold a cross-country meet. And coincidentally, Mike Berblinger, who was the principal of Buhler High School, was thinking the same thing. And we ended up calling West Star Energy just a few days apart and told them what we had in mind. And after jumping through a lot of legal hoops, we were able to get that going. And we started the project probably about 4 or 5 years ago. The course was built 4 years ago. We had to wait 1 year because of the drought, but then we got it going, and now the course is in its third year of existence.
Great course over there. Of course, last weekend, the 2014 Romp at the Ridge. Some course records actually set, and the men, your men's team, finishing third.
Yeah, the course records were set, and ironically still, despite Fort Hays being there and some of the best runners in the nation being there, a woman has still not been able to break 19 minutes there at the course. That tells you how tough it is and how difficult the course is. So the course record now down to about 19 flat, and surely that will go down over the next couple of years if more people keep coming to the meet. But yeah, the guys, turning to the guys, they just were awesome. They did exactly what we asked of them. We knew coming into the season with the people we had lost last year that we were going to have to run kind of as a pack, and we got everybody hoisted up to the front there like they needed to be, and it got us a good third place finish, but behind two really good teams. So yeah, we were thrilled with that.
Your men led by a freshman. Tell us about that leadership.
Well, Forrest Dreyer has been a leader on his cross-country team all through high school, and when you're a JUCO and you only have them for 2 years, you don't care if they're freshmen or sophomores, they're going to have to lead. And, he's been doing that. It's a young squad, and, it is predominantly freshmen. We're a little more than half freshmen, and so we expect them to be up there. And I know the kids are disappointed when they're not, and I like that. I like my kids wanting to be up at the front, whether they're the number one runner or not. And as long as they have that mentality, we're going to have some success.
The women kind of finishing in the middle of the pack. Where do you go from here and coaching them to try to get them up toward the top 1, 2, or 3?
Well, it's a young team. It's half freshmen and half sophomores, just like the guys. And we want them to learn that just because you're a freshman, it doesn't mean you can't get up there and be up at the front and be a leader of this team. And we have 2 girls. We just have a little bit of a hiccup right now with them, teaching them that, they are great runners and they're on a good cross-country team and they can be up at the front, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be up there. It's not something that can't be fixed. We really haven't even started training yet. We've just been getting in miles, and now we want to start training. And I think once we do that, they'll respond and start realizing that the meets get bigger from here, because we already have just 3 left, and they're going to get a lot bigger from here on out.
Former HCC Blue Dragon Isaac Williams finishes 2nd overall in the men's meet with Fort Hays State. How proud are you of him?
I was asking him, why couldn't you do that 2 years ago? No, it was great. With all the physical things that have happened to Isaac, he has really had a lot of physical ailments, an illness that he's just having to keep under control, and we won't elaborate on it, but it's something that really slowed him down his sophomore year here at HCC. It kept him out of cross country last year at Fort Hays. I couldn't be more proud of him. He just ran fantastic. He led the race right up until the 4th mile, and then finished in 2nd, and yeah, it was great to see. And he had a great fan base out there on Saturday, so that was good to see. I'm proud of him.
Coming up for HCC Cross Country, the Cowboy Jamboree, and then also the Tabor College Invitational. It's Rod Zook. I'm Daren Dunn. Glen and I, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about high school football. We'll run you through KU and K-State, and also recap those Royals right here on the Eagle Communications Sports Update. Back into the Eagle Communications Sports Update on HutchPost.com. For Glen Grunwald, I am Daren Dunn. Well, after opening week losses for both Buhler and Hutch High, they're both back into their winning ways. And for Hutch, Glen, that was that 34-16 victory over Newton.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns in the first quarter of play. Blake Middleton with a 51-yarder and then a 50-yarder, just solid. 28 points in the first half. They were cruising at halftime. You knew Newton was going to strike back. They had a nice win the week before over campus, and they did strike back. They got an onside kick, really didn't get anything out of that, and they got 1 score and then also got a score late in the ball game. 34-16 was your final. A good effort by Maldonado, who's the 3rd-string quarterback. Injuries still plaguing him a little bit, and it's a possibility Maldonado might even be out for this coming Friday. So so they might be down to their fourth-string quarterback. Not sure of that yet, but a good effort. Defense is starting to pop up, and Coach talked about the fact that he just wants to get them to play 4 quarters solid, and I think that's going to happen.
If the name Middleton sounds familiar, it should. Defensive line coach for HCC football, Todd Middleton, that is his son, going for over 200 yards in that victory over Newton. Of course, coming up next against Salina South, that is 7th-ranked Salina South, and taking on Hutch High, who's currently sitting at number 22. Over to Buhler now. Buhler getting a victory. They are number 17 in the state. Get that 34-6 victory over Mulvane. Next, they are taking on 1-1 Winfield. Possibility of a victory there. Is it going to be a tight match?
I think they're going to be pretty focused right now. Winfield has kind of been up and down over the last few years. Buhler's got that taste of victory now, and look for the Crusaders to do what they do very well, and that's win football games.
Buhler ranked, of course, 17. Winfield all the way out there at number 93, so favor the Crusaders on that one. How about KU football getting whomped and stomped all over in Durham, 41-3, losing to the Blue Devils. They come away with just a field goal as they get blasted. But how about Mr. Heaney? Ben Heaney leading the team, 15 tackles, 5 solo, and of course he gets in there for a tackle for a loss.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Ben's just playing good football. I was listening to Bob Davis, the play-by-voice of the KU Jayhawks, and I think he's getting ready for basketball season already. So that tough loss, but Ben's playing well, standing up to his pre-All-American status that he showed. So it's fun to watch a Hutch native play pretty good football for KU.
As a Jayhawk, with every loss in football, you know basketball season is that much closer. Coming up next for the football team, though, against the 2-1 Chippewas of Central Michigan. Of course, they are coming off a similar loss to Syracuse as they lose last week 40-3. K-State, huge game coming up this Thursday, taking on Auburn, nationally televised. Both teams 2-0. You're talking about a 5 versus 20 matchup.
Yeah, 3 Blue Dragons playing on that Auburn team. So Ben Bradley anchors down the defensive lines, and he played here 2 years ago and left in December of that year to go to Auburn. Kenny Flowers, as well as they also have an offensive lineman that played for HCC, and then a whole bunch of former HCC players playing for K-State. Cody Cook, one of them, that was the MVP of the Salt City Bowl a couple years ago. So it's going to be fun. I'm hoping to get up there and see that ball game. So it's going to be a great opportunity for K-State to be seen on national television on a Thursday night. But those Auburn Tigers, go War Eagles, they're pretty tough.
Andy Reid had his Chiefs in the playoffs last season, now off to an 0-2 start. They lose 24-17 to the Broncos. Glenn, was that at least a performance closer than maybe you anticipated?
Well, it is, but it's like kissing your sister. I mean, it's not too much right there. I mean, they weren't able to get it in when they needed to, had the opportunity to tie it up late, maybe send it into overtime, but it was a respectable showing by the Kansas City Chiefs. They're decimated right now by injuries, and you just wish they would have been able to get over that one. So, hey, I think Denver fans know they dodged a bullet right there because Chiefs were knocking on the door, were not able to get it done. So we'll see what they do here in the near future.
Next, the Chiefs taking on the Dolphins. That is in Miami. Miami 1-1 after they blasted the Patriots in opening week. They then turn around and get blasted by the likes of the Buffalo Bills. We look now over to the Kansas City Royals. Things are slowly slipping away. Now a game and a half back in the Central Division. They're 82-67 now on the season. Of course, last week just 3-4.
Ye of little faith. Okay, that win last night was huge, absolutely huge. There was nothing going on. I was flipping channels and getting away from it, and all of a sudden I realized they tied it up. I switched back, and what a crazy infield hit. With Gore breaking basically from second base, he was on the run on the pitch, and by the time he rounded third, they just bobbled the ball and he was home. A walk-off infield single, you're never going to see it again, folks. And that might be what they need to push them over. I don't know. I still got the faith and I still believe that they're going to get it done, but they are struggling, especially in the bat production. There's no doubt about it. You can't wait that long. What's a good thing is Seattle also lost. So they gained some ground there in the wild card, but still a game and a half for Detroit. Detroit was able to rally back and get a win. They've got to reel off 3, 4, 5, 6 straight. A lot of people thought they had to go 8-3 in this homestand, and now they're on the bottom end of that. So I don't know, Daren. I still believe. I still think they're going to get it done.
I like how I am ye of little faith, but you had to change the channel and then come back when you found out they were coming back.
But that's how I work, man. I got to change the channel, and then it's good aura. It's all about aura.
Maybe they do better when you're not watching. I think that's what it boils down to. Losses last week, 4-2 2 to Detroit, then a 3-0 victory over Detroit. Shields, of course, 14-7 on the season after that one, 3.13 ERA. Then 2 losses to Boston, 6-3 and 4-2 respectively. Somehow, an offensive explosion with 12 hits against Boston, who, keep in mind, is a team nearly 20 games below 500. They win that one 7-1. They then turn around and lose 8-4. Then, of course, the victory you talked about against the White Sox, 4-3. Wade Davis, 9-2 on the season, .69 ERA. So now's the time to refocus. 2 more games against the Shy Sox. Then, of course, that homestand coming up against Detroit. For Glen Grunwald, I am Daren Dunn. We'll catch you next time on HutchPost.com and your Eagle Communications Sports Update.